We are.
Yeah, this one's.
We are going live in
a dude with a fucking bandana in the chair.
I don't know if you want this. You found the picture.
See that spin move?
where is
I'm
it?
telling you, that
What's
spin
up?
move was sick.
It's on the desktop.
Look, watch him tomahawk chop that dude, dude.
Oh, what is it called?
It should just be 2-1 stream,
Okay.
I think.
Dude, the crowd's going wild.
I wish our Congress was more like
Look at that.
Oh, he caught it! He caught it!
All right, we gotta stop.
What's going on there? in
It's like a
Uganda?
parliament.
Politics.
It's like they're a politics. They're like fighting in the country.
That's when you just go.
Everyone's like,
So we're live now?
We're live.
Great. So welcome to PBDnA 2/1/2018. Let us know how our sound is, how our looks are. I prettied myself up with some makeup. Benji doesn't have to. Paul, I don't think anything will help you.
yeah, right.
And then
Hat. You're
Paul,
supposed to get me a hat.
Paul's hiding over there. I got a hat out and then Paul took it. I'll find you something else. Put your scrubby one back on. Yeah.
Makes me look like a camouflage maid.
Okay, well, that's basically what you are. So today we have a wide variety of topics to go over. And we have a wide variety of paint guns that are also spread out in front of us, spreaded out in front of us. And Paul's going to talk about some, Paint Paul's going to talk about some, Benji's going to talk about some, and I'm going to go get my food. But that won't be for a little bit. We got games that just happened the last weekend. We got games that are happening this weekend in a couple days. We have games that are happening later this month. We are going to be talking about Chris Latoya and the tragic accident that has stricken him with horrible burns all over his body, and the great things that Paul Schreck will be doing to help him out, and then some of the other things that everyone else can do to help. We will be talking about old school stuff, new school stuff, and bogus stuff. We will also be checking the window frequently to make sure no one's stealing Paul's ladders from outside. Hey, Paul, Paint Paul, we got a stapler behind the computer. Throw that on the ground so that our vents are more freed up. Does that computer feel like it's getting super hot? No? Fans are going full blast.
Work back there? Is that on?
What's up?
Oh, sure
It does work, but we're not going to turn it on because it's way too loud.
Is it?
Yeah. Let's see, other new stuff that we're talking about. The Mech Shocker. Tim Montresor. Tim Montresor. He showed us the Mech Shocker last weekend. It was pretty badass. I liked it more than the GOG Enemies. I have not shot a G-Mech yet, so I can't compare it to the G-Mech.
Yeah, we're gonna have to try one of those soon.
Yeah. If you have a G-Mech that you want to let us borrow indefinitely, go ahead and send it on in. I think Tim Furpo was mentioning that he can fix the G-Mechs because he's a Planet Eclipse tech.
Meaning there's something wrong with them?
No, but if I get one and I break it, if someone sends one in and I break it, I could have Tim fix it before I send it back.
That is true.
But I'll probably just buy a busted G-Tech eventually and put a frame on that. But anyway, we did not see any of those, but that's another topic we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about other miscellaneous things, other new school things. We're going to be talking about some old school stuff, the turret changers. Was it Gilly who had one of those? The revolvers, I guess is what they're called.
People, from our group have.
Oh yeah, Chris Corsino had one on one of his CK guns that he posted a picture of. We're going to talk about maybe the differences between the old ones and the new ones, and why I don't like the old ones, but that problem has probably been resolved on the new ones, so people shouldn't hold that against the new ones. So let us know how our audio is, and like I mentioned, our looks. How's our look today? Also our lighting and our picture quality. Those are all things we want to know. So if I've run my mouth enough, I'm going to go grab my food that's probably burning on the stove, and then Benji's going to take over.
I'm gonna take over. So, let's see. Let's talk a bit about the West Coast Open. we went to the West Coast Open this past week, which was at SC Village, and we were only there Saturday, but we live streamed a little bit and we watched a lot of the games. Paul, how did you think those games went? What did you think about the competition, the guns you saw on the field? Paint Paul.
Paint Paul.
Sorry,
No, that would be Doc.
So Paul went shooting today, so his hearing is pretty bad. But what did you think of the West Coast Open?
It was pretty cool. I wanted to play in it when I was, shooting video, but the competition was great. There's some good teams out there like DMG and what was it, the Raiders? The Raiders are killing it out there, and I wish I played it, but unfortunately I couldn't.
Because we made you strap a live stream backpack on and walk around and get all sweaty all day.
Yeah, Bocci had me on a whip all day, so I couldn't play. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great event. Next year or next season, I definitely want to participate if I can.
Yeah, as you know, I was only around Saturday, so I wouldn't have been able to play Sunday anyways. But as we were filming on Saturday, I was thinking, oh my God, I wish I was on these fields right now playing. But you know what? You mentioned that DMG and the Raiders were, very solid teams there. And even though they were the teams that were in finals, DMG ended up winning it by 2 points, which is one body, over the Raiders. I was surprised to see at the end of day one that, there were a lot of teams above those teams in the standings. DMG had lost a couple of their games on the Woods Ball fields.
Yeah, nobody was doing perfect.
Right, and it was a pretty even spread after day one. Day two had a bunch of upsets. You had the Sammys, Sammy Superstars. They actually took out DMG and the Raiders, who ended up going into the finals.
And that's what some of our SoCal Stock homeboys were playing on.
Right, you had Sonny and Trini, and who else was playing with them?
Danny. Todd.
Yeah, it was
some of the clowns.
So it was a pretty cool event. We saw some new guns out there, like the mechanical smart parts shocker that we saw Tim Montressor using. So we actually got to shoot that a little bit. What did you think about it, Dan?
I like the initial shot a lot more than the initial shot on the GOG enemies, and I don't know if it's just because I wasn't used to shooting a GOG enemy, but I felt like when you're shooting your first shot on the GOG enemy, it feels like the valve opens and closes really... Yeah, it's really awkward. And not really sure how to describe that, but it's just, it doesn't feel smooth, and I didn't feel like that at all on the mechanical shocker. Also on the GOG enemy, like that first shot is awkward, but once you start kind of ripping on it, it shoots really nice.
Right. On
the enemy, but with the first shot being much smoother on the shocker, I just, it had a much nicer overall feel.
Right.
Because you're shooting mech, you're not always going to be ripping. Like, you want that first shot to be nice and smooth. Yeah.
One thing which, I don't know if it was the paint he was shooting, I didn't feel like it was all that accurate.
That's going to be, in the eye of the beholder, because you're shooting at the same velocity. You're shooting with whatever barrel you choose.
Right.
So.
Well, we shot some of the other cockers, and, I normally shoot mags and cockers with you. So I feel like I get a pretty good gauge on, right out the gate if it's shooting accurately. I can't imagine that DMG would have been shooting bad paint, but it could have been.
Well, you've picked up guns in the past that people have played with for years, and you've shot a couple shots, and it probably hasn't felt, like a super great shooter for you because you haven't played with it for a while. Like, that's how I feel about a lot of guns, but once I start using them, it becomes more natural. You know how it's going to shoot. You know what to expect. So...
Well, it wasn't really, the consistency or anything. I'm speaking, just getting it up in your shoulder and shooting. I wasn't all that happy with the spread, but you know what? That's just the first glance couple shots. I want to give it a full...
And when I was shooting, I wasn't really judging accuracy. I was just kind of ripping into open space.
Right. As far as the actual trigger pull and shot, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
I thought the frame felt pretty great.
Yep. It was, it was kind of like, did you think it had a little humpback to it?
I can't remember necessarily.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice feeling frame. The shocker itself is pretty light, so, the whole setup was pretty easy to use. I don't know, there were a lot of nice guns out there. Like Dan said, we still haven't been able to shoot the G-Mech. But I definitely want to put those two to a test. You know, talk about efficiency, trigger pull, etc., and then also compare those to a cocker with the new gunfighter frame to see, you know, which one you can really shoot the quickest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty well-ran event. Games didn't go into darkness, which is typical UWL fashion. But this was Rainy running it instead of, you know, pure UWL. So I didn't hear too many complaints, really. It was also kind of nice that they did half of the games on the Woodsball field, which was played on the very furthest back field at SC, Germany. And then the another half of the games were played on Baghdad, which is more like a typical scenario SC Village field that, you know, has cars and broken down buildings and burnt out buses. And I mean, it was really cool, especially to see some of the pros who, you know, they are on airball 51 weeks out of the year, and they were able to play here in real rec ball settings. And you know, I saw Tim post about it, and I saw a couple of the other guys post about it, that they really enjoyed changing up the setting a little bit. What do you think, Paul? You ever gonna play one of those?
You know, I'd like to. I just, right now in my family life, is just a little out of control. But, yeah.
What about you, Paul? Are you gonna film next time, or are you gonna play?
I'm gonna play.
I'm gonna play also. Dan, you gonna play the next one? Or are you gonna film?
If you guys are gonna play,
we're gonna play. So we're gonna need someone to take over the filming for us.
Paul's gonna do the filming.
Well, you know what? If you guys
not that
play,
Paul, not Paint Paul.
You're just assuming we're gonna pick you up on our squad.
I think so.
You think you're bad enough to be a bad boy?
Maybe.
I think you're DNA enough to be a PBDnA?
Yeah. So we got John Sewell says that he pre-ordered his GMEC frame 2 months ago. Still waiting for it.
Oh, really?
But, John, hopefully when you do get it, you let us know and, you know, give us a couple review videos so we can talk about it.
There are a couple reviews on YouTube that I've watched. Another thing, well, you have anything else to say about the GMEC?
No, because I haven't shot it yet, so I'll keep my expectations to myself for now.
So, is that okay, Paul?
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
We're going to talk about the guns slightly later in the stream, but they are Carters. That's all I'll tell you for now.
So another thing that we didn't see out there was the gunfighter frame, and I thought for sure we would see one of the ShockTac gunfighter frames out there and get to shoot it, but...
Yeah, I didn't see anyone with them.
And they have, a lot of them have shipped, so... well, I shouldn't say a lot, I don't know how many, but I've seen quite a few people post that they've received theirs. So, I don't know how many they had made in that first batch, but there are quite a few out there, so... I was hoping that we would see one, but we didn't.
I'm wondering if more people, or if any people playing the Winter Classic in Florida were using those. Because I saw significantly more pro teams. There were at least 4 or 5 pro teams there, along with the local teams. So, I don't know, anybody go to that Winter Classic? If you saw any of those, let us know. What guns did you see? How did it go down? At this one, it was just DMG. That was the, I guess, resident current pro team. You had the Raiders, which was a mix of some current pros and old pros. Who notable on those teams do you remember?
On the Raiders?
Both teams.
Well, I mean, Rodney, Glenn, Richard were all playing.
Frage.
What's
for
that?
Raiders.
Alex Frage.
Yeah, they were all playing Raiders.
You had Alex Frazier. You had Johnny Perchak was playing for the Raiders also. Who else was there? Not really sure. DMG had Joe Barrett from, you know, he's been playing on Damage.
Tim Montresor.
Who else? There were a couple other.
They're like all the pro guys who went pro this season were on DMG.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll see them playing in NXL as DMG together. So pretty tight. Dan, you got a question? What are you eating?
I'm eating some. How do I say it? Gnocchi. I got corrected on this earlier.
Gnocchi.
I don't know,
too
but
white.
whatever it is, it does smell good.
He called gnocchi gnocchi.
Has a giant hair.
Ridiculous.
Not in Paul's though, only in mine. You could have it without the.
That's like calling
Without
lasagna
this.
lasagna.
You want me to make you some more with
No,
this
I'm
sauce?
good. I'm good. It just smells good. I'm good.
So yeah, it's spaghetti and meatballs and however you say it, with dried tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
Seems like we have a Paul Schreck fan, Brent Masada. Says he wants to shoot you for some reason. I don't know.
I think he worked at Mountain View.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he used to work at Mountain View.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that guy, Paul.
Thank you.
Robert Ryman-Schneider said he shot the gunfighter and liked it.
He bought one, I think.
Yeah. It definitely seems hard not to like. It's super short stroke. I just want to see, with some real testing through it.
What did you...
Some different 3-ways.
Did you feel like you could shoot significantly faster, Rob?
Yeah, let us know.
Was it with a Shock Tech 3-way? Or
Yeah, was it with the bomb or the Inception? Or was it a 2-ring 3-way?
Yeah.
2-ring switch.
What was your whole gun setup?
Yeah.
Now, I know Shock Tech came out and they're like, this is the shortest pull you'll ever get. It's like at least half the pull of any other cockers. Now, just to get you wet the lips a little bit.
Wet the whistle?
Might be able to wet the whistle a little bit. We might be able to come out with a frame that has an even shorter trigger pull than the Shock Tech Gunfighter. Right now, it's not happening at all. But it's possible with the parts that I have and with the ideas that we have. So watch out. A few months, it might happen. But it's possible. It is possible. Basically, it will be so short, it'll be a walkable double trigger mech frame without any pneumatics attached to it. If it happens, pretty cool. If it doesn't, well, I never said it was going to happen. Robert said he didn't buy it, but he said it was pretty short with a pawl. With a
pawl?
bomb.
Which pawl?
With a bomb. Gilly says, hey, Paul.
Which pawl? You guys have to specify Dr. Paint Paul or Circle Paul.
Yeah, we got Dr. Paint Paul, Circle Paul.
Hey, Gilly.
Those are the choices.
Buddy.
He could have been talking to Paint Paul.
Yeah.
Well, he already said hi, so...
Speaking of, if he can buy a sock hat from you, Dan, you got any for sale? Oh, Robert says that the one he shot was a 1.5 millimeter pull.
But what switch was it on?
What switch was it on? What 3-way setup was he using?
You need anything else, Paul?
It had to have been. It had to have been a Shock Tech one.
Yeah.
That's just too small.
Whatever, it's pretty cool. Alright, so before we go on to guns and new school stuff and these beauties and the raffle, what upcoming games are there, Dan?
So this weekend we're playing at Ambush. We're playing... I want to get a little bit closer to Paul, although I can't. We're playing at Ambush. We're playing... Well, Sonny has gone back and forth. He said first, I haven't played Open Class in a while. We're going to play Open Class. And then he said, no, we're playing Modified Stock. So I think it's Modified Stock.
It's been back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I'm down for either.
Much, you can use tanks, you can use stock class tubes, and you can use loaders that take 10-round tubes. That's the last.
When we play Modified Stock, I almost always shoot 12 gram with horizontal speed. But after seeing the dirtbags running and gunning, I kind of want to shoot my my S5 with one of those little stick feeds. I don't know if I've ever even used a stick feed when we're playing SoCal Stock, but
you just don't want to have to rock and cock all the
There are
time.
a definite advantage.
oh
Really
yeah,
are.
for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really like using a stick feed that I don't need to rock and cock. I mean, I normally use the Evo with a stick feed kind of pointed up at a 45-degree angle.
For people on the run, it's hard to drop your... Just dip your barrel for a second to get the second one going.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough,
It's a little
especially to
while.
get it on point at, as you're running and you're tilting and you got to get that shot up again.
My problem is that whenever I'm running and trying to gun, it's not that I can't get the paint in, it's that I don't have any paint loaded. Like I never have any paint in my actual feed tube,
Well,
and that's what messes me up.
Well, that's why I like using this, it's got my elbow on it with maybe a 12-round tube, so I got 15 balls in there. And I have a couple little holes cut out at the bottom of the PVC feed tube that I use. And, you can see the last couple balls. If it's clear, you better load up before you go on a run. Patrick Brown says, use a Havoc launcher and grenades if they're being dicks.
I always load up before I go on a run. Tonight I'm loading up with Oktoberfest, Mars and Lager.
This is what you call the Masenlager.
Masenlager.
You put it in your gallets and you go outside and you have to shoot the people. And you guys, this is Masenlager. This is Oktoberfest.
It's got a pretty fierce Siberian.
My grandmother would disown
tiger.
me for using that accent.
Right?
Sorry, but
Botch drinking a pint of it.
A whole pint of it,
A whole
yeah.
pint of Oktoberfest.
you know, you should at
For
least
Connor,
use a
for Jorge.
glaze, you know?
A glaze?
Yeah, use a glaze. I mean, a glass.
Oh,
I'm
a glaze.
speaking in your
Yeah,
terms.
my Guerneville dialect. Yeah.
So what other games? We got Ambush this weekend, SoCal Stock. What's after that?
We got PBSL. You keep talking about some PBSL 10-man.
So the PBSL event 4 is this weekend. All the signups are taken, so no one else can sign up for that
RIP
event.
anybody else that wanted to play.
But
I guess
if you
that's
do
me.
want to play a future PBSL, make sure to sign up early because those spots go incredibly quickly. The event after that for PBSL would be the 10-man on March 3rd, which we're probably going to be putting a team in. Right now we got our 7 players, trying to get the couple extra. But for the 10-man, you have to be a previous PBSL player. They only allow 2 non-PBSL players per team in the 10-man. So
I'm a non-PBSL player, so...
as am I, except I'm going to be playing this one next week. So we already have 1 spot for a non-PBSL, which is going to Jeff Quitman. So if someone else drops out, Dan, you're going to play the one next week, and we can add another Quitman.
Great.
If he wants to play. Yeah.
Is that event on Saturday or Sunday?
I believe they're both on Saturday.
Oh.
I will check right now. Saturday. Cool. Yeah, and something that's pretty cool about that 10-man is, well, first of all, the basics. They do 8 games. The point, I guess the whoever has the most points after the 8 games is the winner, unless there's a 30-point gap between first and second place. So there's no playoffs unless really necessary. But then after those games happen, each team sends 2 players into a 20-on-20 game where there are a bunch of, I guess, disassembled guns all around the field. So they start the game, everybody has to run around finding, I mean, I don't know how disassembled they are, but potentially trigger frames, bodies, loaders, tanks, all that. Some of the loaders might have 2 balls in them, some might be empty, some might be full, and basically after a certain amount of time they just start the game. And you gotta just start playing. And then every couple of minutes they shrink the playing field so no one can really just camp out. And it just, it sounds like it's gonna be freaking chaotic.
That's
and I'm very excited to play that.
Here's a interesting announcement.
Okay. Jeez. Let me check this out. So, here, Dan, you talk while I search that up.
Okay, so we're going to keep talking about the same thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
So, is there a special name for this PBSL event? Is it just PBSL 10-man?
No,
Because
there is a special name. Shane, you want to remind me what it's called?
yeah, post some more details on that, Shane.
Yeah, let's not forget Edwin has added the Pump Division to the UPL.
Yeah, we got that coming up on February 11th, which is Sunday of next weekend, I believe. Yeah, it says Open Series, local Open Series, Sunday, February 11th at Combat. And Combat's a really fun park to play at. Obviously, for UPL, you're going to be playing airball, right? It's all airball.
Right.
But I wonder what teams are going to be entering into that. If you guys are on a team and you're entering into that, comment so that we can let other people know what the competition's going to be like. We also have Spew coming up. I think that's at the end of March. Is that right? I don't know the actual date, but
I believe it's April.
Oh,
Isn't it?
April.
No,
yeah.
it's March.
Are you sure? I mean, I'm going to look up right now.
March 23rd,
Give me a second.
something like that. It's the 23rd.
Yeah, 24th and 25th.
24th.
Okay, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Benji, as Benji has said before, you could get there on Friday. Most people do. And there are occasionally games, but he didn't know it for sure if that was going to be happening. I think that's what Gilly said. He wasn't sure if Friday games would be happening or not. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of games. Saturday, I love just anytime we can go and just camp out somewhere. You just wake up in your tent. You get out of your tent, you eat some pancakes, have some coffee, and then you just go play. Usually, you know, I abbreviated that, but normally it's about 4 hours or more, depending on how long it takes you to set up or how many guns you have to try to test
How
before
long
you
you
can
sleep in.
Yeah, how long you sleep in, how messed up you got the night before.
Good times.
Yeah, definitely good times. So that's my favorite thing about Spew or for other camping events is just waking up and not having to drive. Yeah. So that's going to be in Bakersfield. If you guys are in Southern California or Northern California or Nevada or Arizona or anywhere else in the United States or the world, you can attend that event.
Join us. Remember, Saturday is open class, Sunday is stock class. The PBSL 10-man, they call it 10-man Chaos or PBSL 10K.
Oh yeah, I think I saw Todd.
Now Dan showed me a second ago that someone was saying that
you found it.
Immortal Air and Ninja.
Steve, how do you say his last name? Preskill?
Yeah, that they're recalling tanks or something.
Steven Preskill?
Yeah, I'm on the Immortal Air Facebook page right now, and it says 45 minutes ago they posted up information saying that they are in fact good to go.
So what Steven actually said was, did you all see the Ninja announcement saying GI and Immortal Air tanks were bad? They made an official announcement, but it wasn't true. And then he said, yeah, I messed up, and he sent a link, and that's what Benji's looking at right now.
Jeez.
So
did they really think they were out of date? Did they jump the gun when they saw
I
something?
I don't know what the actual reason for saying.
Slander, right?
In the release from Immortal Air, it says, Immortal Air would like to address some false information that has been spread across social media by one of our competitors. At approximately 2 p.m. Central Standard Time today, a public service announcement was posted to various social media platforms, including but not limited to Facebook, and PB Nation, stating that DOT SP 14932 had expired. And so that's maybe a code that's used on certain tanks, I'm imagining. Someone more knowledgeable than myself can probably chime in on that, probably Tim, but it does say below that we would like to make clear that at no time has this permit expired. So there's probably a permit for public Department of Transportation, that's DOT. So that's probably a permit for Department of Transportation. Let me start over. Okay, that's probably a permit for those tanks to be moved around by the Department of Transportation. And those tanks have to be approved, or they have to have a permit for you to actually take them around with air, or possibly even without air.
Right, so I'm on the Ninja Paintball Facebook page now, and it's important to note here that they did not call out specific companies. What they said was the special permit 14932 expired today, 1/31/18. As of today, February 1st, there's no renewal request in place by the manufacturer. While this doesn't affect any Ninja branded bottles, we know many of our customers may have backup or extra tanks from other suppliers that were made under this special permit, so please check your bottles for this number. If you have this permit number on your tank, it can't be filled or used in any kind of commercial setting. It also can't be hydro tested until your permit is renewed. So, I don't know, maybe we have tanks with this number.
I'm sure I do.
Is that the case?
But I guess they're all good, so...
Well, no. What we know for sure is the Immortal Air tanks are good. We don't know if this number is...
Because, we don't know about the Empire tanks.
Right, because Ninja Paintball is pretty specific here in saying that as of February 1st, no renewal request was in place. So right now, any 14932 tank is no longer good to use.
So, here's a Empire Superlight tank that's completely covered in paint. And
Dan, we have Adrian says, Bocci sold me a phony BE squeegee holder today. Switching bait. Oh
yeah.
Man.
He did get scammed.
The aluminum Eagle tank holder.
Yeah. Okay, so
it's the SP on top.
Yeah, DOT SP. This one's 14387. What's the one that's...
The number is...
It's not that one.
Okay.
14932. Dan, check the giveaway tank. See what that has on it.
That one's a Gorilla Air.
It's a Gorilla Air. Let's see what we got.
I have another one in my room.
Oh, so Timothy Kerrigan says Immortal Air is saying all the tanks under that specific number are good.
Yeah.
No, this isn't it at all.
So what is the real story? Are any of these tanks out of date?
I don't think it's a licensing thing. It's not a danger thing.
It's not a danger thing. No, the tank is fine. It's just that they need to reapply for the permit.
Okay, so someone's got to pay somebody. That's all.
Right, but I'm gonna check a little bit more into Immortal Air's post, because if Tim is right and Immortal Air says that specific number is good, then we should be good to go.
Yeah, I don't know where my other tank is.
Okay.
Realistically, though,
Yeah.
no fields are gonna check for that actual number. I think they just check for the date, right?
Fields now specifically will check for the date, but if there is a wide press release saying look out for these tanks, they might.
Maybe.
I think it's more of a danger if you are taking your tank in to be hydroed, or if you're going to have someone fill it at a store, because those people are probably more on top of it because there's not a million things going on. Maybe not to say that stores aren't busy, but just that if someone brings in your tank to check at the store and that's your one thing is dealing with that customer, you might have more time than, I don't know. I just know whenever I'm like trying to deal with people and we're on the field, I just am frazzled. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So the thing I see on Immortal Air's page is it's a new approval that is good. So I guess it's an approval from them to make tanks at least until December 2018, but I'm not seeing anything specifically about that number. So, I don't know. We will try to come to some kind of consensus with this soon, and we'll post it up on our page.
Or you guys can check any other page, because they're probably more on top of this than we are. So. But anyway, back to what we've got going on. Let's see.
Okay, so I found it right here. So Immortal Air says that on December 19th, 2017, the DOT approved the renewal of the permit and the transfer of the permit. So, to dispel these rumors, we are furnishing documentation from the DOT allowing the manufacturer, use, and transportation of our cylinders marked with the SP14932. So they're all good to go. There you go. So now the question is, would that be slander? They didn't name anyone in particular, but they specifically spread this rumor saying that their specific branded tanks with the SP14932 were bad. I guess they would have to prove that it hurt market share or hurt sales immediately, but I don't know. Did Ninja know? Was it intentional? Did they just see, the wrong document and really think that it was going expired? We'll find out. For now, it's all hearsay. Cool. So, why don't you lead us into the Latoya situation, Dan?
Well, I think that you should, because you were the one that described it pretty accurately. One of you guys did. So I'm going to let you do that.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what happened to Chris Latoya, or don't know who Chris Latoya is, he is one of the most influential people in the paintball industry tournament scene. I mean, over a long period of years. He was, the first guy to get a multi-million-dollar sponsorship for his team. That was a $6 million sponsorship for Avalanche. Pretty intense. He's been featured in, dozens of videos, magazines. He's had guns named after him, put out for him. Latoya Intimidator, Latoya ProMaster. What else was there? I think there was one more. But yeah.
The Latoya Element Angels.
Latoya Element Angel. So not only is he a pretty
Good one.
killer dude on the field, he's just a nice guy all around. I've had the pleasure of meeting him and hanging with him a couple times, and he's just a pleasure to be around. He's got some cool stories, and unfortunately, he got kind of messed up recently. He was at a friend's house, and he noticed that their Christmas tree caught fire. So he, being a quick thinker, decided he would grab the Christmas tree and go take it outside. Except that it was still plugged in. So as he was running it to the door, it pulled and basically made him fall, and the tree fell onto him. So he had a burning Christmas tree on him. So he got his composure, managed to get the Christmas tree out, goes back inside, sees several other things on fire, starts taking out thing after thing on fire, and then just sees that the house is actually on fire now. So he runs around, pulls everybody out of their rooms, you know, tells everyone there's a fire, everybody gets out fine, and the house is gone. You have the picture of the house you can put in the background?
The house is gone.
The house is
Was
gone.
that bad?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I think Dan queued up the picture of the house.
I think it's in that folder.
Ablaze. So it's some pretty crazy stuff. And you know, Chris did not make it out, you know, without any negative effects. I mean, they'll pull up a picture in a second. He pretty much looked like a mummy at one point in the hospital bed. He got pretty charred up. So the insurance isn't going to cover everything that it needs to cover. You know, it's just going to be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for medical care is what I'm estimating. You can't work during that time. It's pretty messed up. So a lot of people have come together in the paintball community to raise money for Chris. There's a GoFundMe going on right now that has a ton of money in there, but still it's a dent in what he's going to need. So Paul Schreck here had the nice idea to donate one of his prized possessions, a desert duck, to raise some money for Chris. So we're going to be raffling off this desert duck, as long as some extra goodies. Paul, you want to grab the tank? Let's see. So we got this Latoya kind of branded tank signed. We got a couple ID cards. We got BacciPaintball gift certificates. We got 3D printed loaders, and we got more things coming in that are going to be raffled off. So we are going to be raffling everything off in, what is it, March 2nd. Yeah, Tubber Rock says the Latoya GoFundMe has already doubled. So it has doubled, which is freaking awesome. The I don't think it was high enough to begin with. You know, 15 grand, that's what, 5 days in a hospital bed?
Yeah, no,
it's not enough, you know. So you know, he's really you know, brought a lot of people into paintball. He, you know, everyone watched his videos. Everyone saw the infamous ponytail, you know, executing people in various settings. So you know, we want to have his back. So we're gonna have more things donated. The raffle is gonna be $10 a ticket. You're gonna send, if you want a ticket, you're going to send money directly to clasoya@hotmail.com. Gift preferred, you know, just leave a note saying you're buying raffle tickets. We are going to put all of the entries into a randomizer March 2nd, and we're going to have a special Latoya themed live stream where we're going to, you know, have some cool pictures and stories from people that know him. We're going to have Chris either on site or call in, and you know, we're going to give away a lot of cool stuff. So we got Paul Schreck here, who is going to tell you a little bit about the desert duck that is the grand prize.
And also, I just want to say that we now have the burning house photo in the background, and
that's not just supposed to be a cool fiery background. That is
it's definitely not cool.
Thing.
It's
that is the house that he was in on fire.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks ago, or so, maybe a little longer now, I was online and I saw that this tragic thing had happened through Phil. He was actually, through Phil though.
Got it.
He was actually the one that I actually heard that this happened from through Facebook. I think it's through Facebook, or yeah, I think it was. He's one of my friends on Facebook. So yeah, I got to see every few days he'd post a picture of, you know, Chris's, how he was doing. And man, you know, when I was younger, I just burned my hand, 2nd degree, and man, I wish someone burning on nobody. That's just intense pain, especially when they have to scrub it and keep it clean. I mean, it's like nerve pain. You can't, there's no amount of pain pills that are going to dull that pain. So
speaking as a fire crotch, it's pretty painful.
I mean, just looking at you, Benji, is painful.
So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm blessed, and I have a lot of these guns, and I have a lot of friends, and I've you know, I know a lot of these guys that have owned these guns or know of them. And I know a gun like this. These are pretty much the rare of the rare stock class guns. There's not very many of these out there. This in particular gun was Kika's gun. His team name was Spook. He played on Team Ronin, Hawaii. And I have another one of his guns as well. But this is the gun that he played with the most. It's a BBA.
Which stands for?
Back bottle. Adapted, 12 gram. It does have the end handle knob. And I do have a valve for it. So whoever wins, you could take this off. And it can be, an end handle duck. It does have a cool barrel plug that makes it look like it's ported.
I thought that was just the barrel extension, the whole.
But yeah, this is probably after Dave Lou passed away gun.
So Wes says it's pronounced K-Aka.
K-Aka? Is that right, Wes?
We were wondering how to pronounce it earlier.
I was actually going to get a hold of you, Wes, to ask that because it's not common, and I know I'm going to screw it up. So thanks.
As with most things.
You need to quit.
Dan probably would have mispronounced it so badly he would have said it right.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
But this is really cool gun. I've seen a lot of them, but this one here, Kin Kid usually did stuff out of the norm. The checkering is always really awesome, cool features. There's a 1911 slide lock on this gun, which is a real gun part they put on it.
That is bad.
Which is a modification that specifically Ken Kidd would do, because Ted Hines's Desert Duck also had that modification, and so does your red one also has it, right?
Yeah, it has the breech hole. You can see the paint inside the breech. So it's a pretty unique gun, and coming from, Hawaii and the Ronins, it's really rad. And so I hope whoever gets this gun, I hope we raise a lot of money. I hope, people, see something like this, and once they win it, they, I'm sure they'll respect it.
Yeah, this is really the next level of rarity when it comes to Desert Ducks. There are, your newer Desert Ducks, and then there are the older Desert Ducks, and then there are the Desert Ducks that are not only older, which I would say, could be pre-95 or pre-93 or something, but there's, the next level, which is the older ones that were actually used by notable teams. And the most notable teams to actually play with Desert Ducks and the DD-68s would be the Kamikaze Shooters and Team Ronin.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, so it's really an amazing gun, and not only is this...
I mean, it's the Westwood of ducks.
It's, I want to say something more rare, but nothing's popping in my head. So, really, it's...
Yeah, these are really rad.
It's essentially, if you were, like, a fan of Shock Techs and you wanted to get, like, the SFL that Rennick Miller was shooting, it would be, or
this would be Rennick Miller's
that Billy Saransky was shooting.
This would be a Saransky, yes.
If you wanted to get one of those autocockers, this would be on the same level, but for Desert Ducks.
This is a stock class magic guns. I mean, when you hold this thing, it's an extremely well built gun, super smooth.
Unfortunately,
tolerances are just awesome.
When you are talking about these guns, especially ones that are this old, they are not as adaptable to modern paint and to today's paint as, like say an autococker from 1995 or 96 would be. This is a gun that is, in this case, I believe, unibody, right, Paul?
Yeah, this is a unibody gun. There are several ways. You can even read about online how they use different things to detent them. But this is also a gun. If you wanted to use it, you could use it with different types of. Some people put nail polish in them.
Yeah, there are modifications.
Or you can send it to Aaron Carter and he'll make you a new snub and barrel.
He'll make you a new body.
He'll do the whole thing.
One thing to remember about these is it's just the body that would need to be replaced, and it wouldn't have to be modified.
The inner body the inner snub is just a tube with threads with a barrel.
Yeah, so when Paul actually pumps the slide back, you can see the stainless body sticking out of the end. And is this one a unibody, or does it have?
Yeah, no, it's
barrel?
unibody.
So it's one stainless tube, one stainless piece that's gun drilled in there.
Yeah.
And Spook is actually posting right now on YouTube, on the YouTube comments, and he says, thanks, Wes. Watching now. Aaron made this gun. Ken did the mods. And he says, you are making me very happy, Paul. So it's
Thank you, brother.
So Kiefer is asking how long tickets are going to be on sale for. So I think we're going to accept entries until February 28th. So we'll give one.
Let's
we're going to give ourselves 1 day to make sure all the entries are.
Let's get the GoPro up, and we'll have.
Are valid, solid. So February 28th, the drawing is going to be on March 2nd. That's a Friday. So we are going to do a live drawing. Depending on how many raffle prizes we have, probably going to do a drawing every 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
And we will
Sit in that
announce.
chair.
Okay.
We will announce, live who won what, and then we will. I guess we'll go after you guys asking for addresses.
Go
and
go like this.
We'll get them sent to you ASAP.
Pump the slide now.
If anybody else wants to donate any prizes to go to the raffle, you can just contact Dan or myself, and we will be happy to add that to the listings. Dan, you're still being asked for the sock hat. You got.
I don't know which sock hat it is.
Annie, he just wants an old school sock hat.
I don't think I have any for sale here.
You're like a couple months too late. I had 10 cap sock hats like earlier or mid last year, early that year, all gone.
So
But
I have
if
a
I
question.
see any, I'll send it your way. Yeah.
So I have a question for Spook. If you're still watching, what year was this made? And was it originally black and then it was reanodized this really gloss blue? Was it like a flat black that was later anodized gloss blue? Just write up some more information, or if you want, could he call you right now, Paul?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you want, I don't know if we want.
If you don't mind being on speakerphone, you can tell the
Yeah.
people a little bit more about.
I don't know if we would necessarily want to give out Paul's number.
I don't care.
Paul doesn't care. Oh, actually, you could just call Paul, right?
Yeah.
Is that your business number?
That's right.
So
It is my business number.
if you're still watching, he says it was black and silver originally.
Wow.
And what year was it actually made? And if it was made by
Are you
Aaron,
messing it up, Paul?
if it was made by Aaron, then
No.
it was made
That's what
after
you
Dave
do.
Lou passed away, and
Grab another guy.
It slides out.
Oh, I see. Nice.
and it was likely made after Dave Lou passed away.
Here
comes
there
the
you
call.
go.
Might be him calling right now.
Hello. Hello.
Ted says just private message him, Dan. Hey,
I'm
Ted,
here.
you know what? You need to just practice your trick shot right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, my feed's just a couple of seconds behind.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so Aaron made that gun for me and brought it up to one of our tournaments. I think it was 1994.
94.
Oh, cool.
You brought it up.
Yeah, because he came up to one of the state championship tournaments up here
Uh-huh.
and brought us all the guns that we had ordered. Because at the time, his order time was like 14 months, and I was so happy I got that one in 6 months because he happened to have to come to Honolulu.
Nice.
So what extra mods would you have done to it? Did he do it to it before? What did you guys ask for?
So
specifically?
originally it was a regular gravity feed, and I told Aaron I wanted it stock legal, so he put the side tube on it. And then originally it had the white stock holder on the back, like the red one in the picture, the one you're keeping. And I told Ken made aluminum one for me, and then the guys at Combat, what were they called? Combat Shooters in Kaneohe made that the threaded barrel protector for me. I got yelled at by so many refs because they thought I was walking around without a barrel protector in that gun. That's just so much fun in a conversation piece right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very, very unique. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite guns. Just all the different little subtle things on there that you don't normally see on Yeah, that's what's so cool about each one and every one of these ducks is everyone is different in some certain way. And that's like, kind of like their personality. And
yeah, I actually made the grips myself.
Yeah.
And then Ken checkered it and put in a slide stop.
Yeah, the grips are awesome. I was at one time tempted to take them off so they didn't get ruined because, but you know what? That's how I want to pass that gun on the way it was, and I just hope the person that wins this gun is gonna treasure it as much as I have.
So in true Hawaiian style, that's actually surfboard resin.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. And you know what? I don't know if too many fields allow barrel plugs anymore, but for the ones that do, I want to make exactly the same kind of barrel plug just to mess with some rats.
So just to chime in, so we have Spook on the phone, and Spook is the one who is it Spook or it's Spook, right? Not Spock. So Spook is the one that actually owned this, and he's a Team Ronin player who actually owned this gun before
We
Paul.
are not worthy.
So some people were just asking who was the person on the phone. So I was just clarifying that.
He's the original owner of this
original
gun.
owner and Team Ronin member.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you give us a little bit of history on Team Ronin, if you could?
So Team Ronin was originally founded by one of the kamikaze shooters, Glenn Polar, and the guy who's no longer with us. Sorry. I can't talk about Matt.
Yeah, I understand.
About Gizmo?
Matt. Yeah, Matt.
But did you play on a team before Team Ronin?
Yeah, I played against these guys for a long time before they honored me with asking me to join.
Yeah. What year did you first start playing? And you were living in Hawaii at the time?
Yeah, you could probably tell by my name.
So
sorry about the name screw up, brother.
I started playing in 1989 in Florida, in college.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to Hawaii, I started playing probably 1990.
Yeah.
Did our first tournaments. Back then we were playing Renegade Paintball up in East Range, which is a part of the Army base, Schofield. And we just had an agreement with them, and they let us alone. And when they weren't training on that area, we played in the field up there. It was pretty funny because you had to, every once in a while people would step in a concertina or a foxhole and get hurt. But we played up there for years until we got in with our own field on Kula Ranch by one of the other team members, Lindy Terrell. And so we got up there, and we were the team that basically number one, honor above all, always honorable in all things, and that was actually my personal issue with why they waited so long to invite me. But we would play anybody, anywhere, any group of rules. We specialized in stock and went to all the different islands. Went to a couple of national tournaments. Our junior team won the overall nationals in I think it was '94. And so the junior nationals, that was kind of fun. We used to have, Ken Kidd came out there. Aaron, of course, is a full-blooded Hawaiian, so he would come out there all the time. And back when he was with Rose, and all the big names over there. I'm sorry, it's been like 25 years. I'm trying to remember some of this.
No, we get
Yeah, no, we're enjoying your history right now. Keep on going.
Youngblood came out there. My claim to fame is that gun shot him.
Nice. There's one picture that I think was one I reshot from something Aaron had on the wall, and it was Rose and Kilborn and Aaron and Wes and Fridge, I think, might have been in it. And they were all, I think they were in Hawaii. Oh, and Ken Kidd was in it too. I think they were in Hawaii at the time. But some of the fields that you mentioned, like the Ridge field on the Army base, and then also, is it Kaloa Ranch? Is that how you say it? Kaloa Ranch. Are those in the pictures from Ted Hines that I have posted on Facebook?
I remember Ted had the weirdest whacked out RoboCop-looking guns all the time. He had some pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, his duck looked pretty not. I mean, if you could say plain, it was a simpler looking duck. I mean, at least compared to yours, but it did have Ken Kidd's slide lock on it, and I think it belonged to another Ronin member that he bought it from. I can't remember who he said he bought it from though. It might have been Stuart, but I think it was someone else.
I think he bought it from Stuart.
Oh, you think so?
We had a guy that left the team early whose name was Stuart, and he actually had the original duck that Dave Lee made that was on the cover of the August 1989 Paintball Games magazine. That was straight. It was all aluminum. Even had an aluminum barrel. I bought that from him, and I owned that for a couple of years before I sold it to somebody.
Gotcha. And when you say it was on the cover, is that the one where there's a kamikaze shooter player jumping and shooting it, or is it? No,
it was like full on diagonal on the cover of the Paintball Games one, as far as I remember. Maybe that was inside the story.
Oh,
but it's a straight silver one. It was the first
I don't think that one was on the
1989.
cover. I think that's August of '89.
Yeah.
And it has, I think it has a lady on the cover holding a Phantom or a Bushmaster, and for that issue. But it has like a full page spread, and it has the all silver one, and it has a really
that's the one in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a really fancy comp with the rail on top also, and a 45 frame. And I think that comp that was pictured is the first.
That's a really cool gun.
Yeah, I think it's the one that Derek said he made a 45 frame for. And he said that was one of the first 45 frames in paintball. But yeah, that's a awesome looking duck that was pictured there. Cool. So when you said you guys took the junior professional spot in 1994, was that the amateurs at one of the Lively series, or was that an NPPL event?
That was the one.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, that was our junior team. And because our senior team couldn't get enough guys, with money and time off to go. So we were really bummed out. It was one of those, oh man, moments. We should have just gone.
Yeah. Huh. That's awesome. Very cool. So, what year do you think this duck was re-anodized?
I think that was 94.
94.
When I originally got it, I'm pretty sure Aaron made the gun because it doesn't actually say Dave Lou stamped on it like that red one does.
Yeah.
Because the red one is stamped kamikaze shooters.
DD68 kamikaze shooter, right?
Yeah. The blue one, it was made by Aaron. When I first got it from him, it had the vertical feed, and I gave it back to him. And I said, "Hey, can you do these changes?" And that's the part that took 6 months.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you can see it has the feed. It's just cut for the stock feed.
Yeah. And I actually did some porting and polishing, and I put a number 6 power tube in there. And if you inside the internals with the gas internals, I put like a McDonald's straw in there to make the volume smaller. I could get 60 shots out of 112 gram on that thing.
Dang.
That sounds like an exaggeration. I'm going to call you out on that, but I mean 40 probably, 60 I would say no way.
I counted it.
We're gonna have to put it to the test. Let's see what it gets nowadays.
And that's why that was my tournament gun and not the one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, with a perfect paint match, maybe.
I get like 15 on my evolution.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about like every small bit of volume is, that's why we put the straw in and do things like that. Because you want to take up all the volume and you want your paint. Your paint is coming directly out of the 12, or your air is coming directly out of the 12 gram.
We are talking about 94. There's still good paint 94.
Yeah.
There's no bends in it. It comes absolutely straight. It's very efficient.
Yeah. Poof.
The knurling and the cuts on this rat attack are awesome.
Nate said the red one is losing value just being where it is right now.
I would say that actually adds more value to it, especially from Nate's point of view. But if he wants,
getting Benji mojo all the
if he wants to play it like that,
you're lucky I trimmed.
Too much info.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you calling in. And
we love the history. Thank you.
It was awesome of you to call.
And I sent Paul a Facebook message. I don't know if he's read it yet tonight, but I was really actually, one of the reasons I sold out to Paul is I hadn't even opened the boxes they were in for years. And, you know, it was one of those cleaning house moments. I was moving, and I've actually kind of regretted it since then. But hearing about this today, I know I made the right decision. Thanks.
Yeah. Paul, thank you.
You're welcome. You know, that's Ronin fashion right there, right?
You know what? We're gonna have to have you over in SoCal so we can get you back on the field over here.
I mean, I can say.
As fast as I used to be, you know.
Well, you don't need speed; you just need that shot.
Exactly. Some of these guys on the field, all you give them is an inch, and that's it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Dan and his wife.
Seriously.
That's true.
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I gotta go. I'm on the East Coast.
Yep.
But you guys are wonderful, Paul. Very proud of you, man.
Oh,
good choice.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that made my night.
Special double guest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Well, when you can
just hearing how passionate he is about it, all the way from back then, and.
Well, he handmade these grips. I mean, this gun, it's not just something thrown together. You know, it has so much. You know, history as long as personality.
I mean, nowadays you don't really see people using the same gun for years and years and years on end.
Yeah.
Or even really just
that's the
really
main thing.
modifying their guns all
doing
that much.
Their own modifications on their gun.
I mean, I kind of did as a kid. You know, I anoded my PM6 with Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed. I never want that gun back. Whoever has it, you keep it.
But, I mean, you know, at that time, especially with guys that were playing on Team Ronin and, you know, on the kamikaze shooters, they were looking, you know, they were at somewhat of a disadvantage using these short-barreled pumps compared to other people's, you know, long-barreled pistols or long-barreled 12-gram guns. So they were looking for every advantage they got, and when they actually found an advantage that could really yield results, they were doing those modifications themselves, or they would have a local person like Ken Kidd do them. And, you know, I don't know how many of their players would be using comps versus, you know, if they were going to go out and play stock, I don't know how many had comps versus buzzards versus, you know, ducks. But the ones with ducks would probably have those modifications done.
It seems to me everyone that I've talked to had a comp and a duck. Or had a buzzard and a duck. They didn't always use the duck. Always. But close quarter play, but, you know, everyone seemed to have a comp.
As like a new player there, and then guys come out with these to the field, you're like,
what the hell?
God.
So one thing to think about is if you are left-handed, you are not going to be able to shoot this very well, because when you actually are shooting a duck, we talked about this before, but you're shooting it like this, and your feet you're rocking forward, but also you're at an angle almost so that your feet falls in. If you're shooting left-handed, you're rocking it at an angle that is kind of unnatural.
It kind of depends. I'm left-handed, so I mean, when I shoot this gun, I know the feed's just got to be up, and then I have to switch. You just keep it up.
So you can do it, but it takes some working to be able to do that.
You have to look at the feed tube always. The thing that sucks is you can't see the paint. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I could still shoot the gun both ways.
So Wes says he's the only Ronin to never own a duck.
Really?
Yeah. But so that one is for left-handed players.
Yeah.
You can see that the actual
so that one that
is on the left
Dan's
side.
holding is a kamikaze shooter.
I wanted to thank Wes too he's the one that actually got a hold of me to be able to buy these guns from Spook, and I just you know, he's a good guy, and I don't think I've ever met Rodney. He's a great guy too. I never met, you know, a Team Ronin player or a kamikaze shooter.
A great guy. Ted Hines.
These guys are just always Class A guys. Wada and
I like playing with Hines whenever I get to play with him, which is every now and then at Dan's.
Yeah, so
getting to play with Jack is pretty awesome every other week almost.
Derek, this is one of Derek's jerseys. I asked Derek for a jersey one time at the field, and I said, do you have a jersey I could, buy off you, an old one, And he said, no, I only have like 3 jerseys with my name on them. And I said, oh, it's all good, I just wanted to know if a guy like him, I thought he had like a pile of jerseys, so I was just asking. And time went by, and he messaged me, he wanted my address, and I thought he was going to send me one of his old trigger shoes, because back in the day he used to make these custom trigger shoes.
Right.
And because I asked him for one of those too.
Cool,
for one of the restorations I was doing. And I got a box, and it had this jersey in it, this Hitman jersey. And I thought that was really cool. And I had just lost my dog, my family dog, of 14 years. And I posted it online because, my kids were crushed, and it was pretty ugly. And he actually made me a dog tag. I didn't bring it tonight, but it says Bentley on it, has a little paw on it. And when I opened that up, it went from being excited to seeing this to, it was really an emotional thing. And he's that way on the field as well. When you meet him and you talk to him, he's just one of these people that you feel like you've known him forever. And
he's incredibly nice until he just blasts you in the face
until you go, where did that paintball come from?
When I was first getting into pump, I remember it was at an OSC event. Maybe I was a year or 2 in, and after they got first place, which they tended to do, he said, all right, I'll play anybody here one-on-one. If you win the one-on-one, you get an LA Hitman shirt. And I mean, he was just smoking people left and right. And I was like, I thought it was hot shit. I was going to go in, I was going to shoot Derek. Yeah, no problem. I mean, he must have smoked me 5-6 times. I finally got my shirt, though, but I think he let me get it. But I still got it. It's in the closet.
Yeah. You still think you're hot shit.
No, I know I'm weak shit. I know I'm weak shit now.
No, you got game, Benji. You got game.
Derek still.
Yeah, he's my number 1 favorite player, I think, over the years, watching him play, and just his overall, just his attitude is what, you want to give. Like doing what with this gun in the raffle and stuff. It makes you feel good to help someone in need, and the
hitmen in general just do that a lot. They're part of almost every fundraiser. They're tossing stuff in, full clip, tossing stuff in. So
that's what it's about. It's paintball is it's a circle of guys that and it's just all about camaraderie and enjoying each other and out there playing. And
you gotta take it out.
This is what I got to put up with.
I don't have to grab too far down the slide though.
But yeah, it's that's why I love the sport. You meet so many cool people, and you get to hang out and do different things, and do putting people that are under the weather or not doing right. I saw that in my eyes. I said, you know what, I really want to do something, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do, but this is what came to mind, and I'm really glad I did it. I'm really glad.
Yeah, Chris doing a good thing by, really making sure everyone in that house was safe.
Yeah, I mean,
putting his body.
That's honorable.
On the line.
That's so honorable. I mean, he did what he thought. The first thing, you don't think about it. You just go and you try to fix the problem as fast as you can. And unfortunately, he paid the price. But to me, I thought, that is freaking awesome. That's awesome. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Very cool. Do you want to tell a little bit about each of your other ducks before we go on and to the rest of the guns that Dan and you guys brought out?
I don't think I'll ever be able to shoot one of these left-handed.
Talk about this. BB.
Right-handed.
This one is I got from Aaron Carter. It was in a box in his garage, in his workshop. Called? This is a Gecko Blaster. And Dave Liu made these, and there was 4 of them, and I guess story has it one burned in a fire. I don't know if one burned in a fire. And he had this in a box, and I asked him about it, and he wasn't going to sell it. And I ended up over, I don't know, course of a couple years, I ended up getting it from him and putting it together. And it's a cool gun because this gun never really came out from Duckworks. And Duckworks was Dave Liu and Aaron Carter's business making ducks. That's what they wanted to do, is make these kamikaze shooter ducks. And this was a longer barreled gun. It's basically a top cocking comp, is what it is, with a body on it.
Got a decently long barrel still.
Yeah, and so now you can shoot the long ball across the field.
long ball.
You know, you can make them shoot across the field now. I wish these guns, I wish they kept going with them, because it would be cool to see a bunch of cool anodized ones, because this gun really is a really nice, badass gun.
What you guys can't see just through video and picture, it's just how smooth the pump stroke is on these. I mean, if you've shot a Phantom, it's just nothing like it. It's nothing like a
that's
pump
because
cocker.
that's because they're Paul's guns. You know, if Paul had a Phantom, which he has,
It would be this smooth.
It would be this smooth.
I mean, these are just, like, what did we say earlier? Buttered glass?
Yeah,
Even the trigger pull is like butter glass.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah, it's because
incredibly
Paul has not
I
only
rubbed my mojo all over it.
fixed parts that needed to be fixed, he's refined anything that is not up to his standard, which is extremely high.
I learned from Aaron. I sat down and he shows me how to sit and tech them, and he's given me compliments on the way I can tech the guns. It's not very hard. It's just I had the kahuna show me, and that's all you need to have, show you. But yeah, it's this is Randy's gun. This is one of the first 3 kamikazes made, and it's a slam changer gun, which means you put the 12 gram in here and you shut it like that to light it up. Randy said he only used this a handful of times, and you can tell because
this is also a left feed.
everything is brand new in it. And yeah, the first 3 were left-handed. Aaron Carter was left-handed, Randy was left-handed, and
Dave Liu.
no,
Len Polar.
no, the guy with the mustache. Skipping my mind.
Tim Stone.
No, the other one. the team captain.
Oh man, I can't remember his name either. It's
I'm sorry, but all 3 of them were left-handed, so that's why the first 3 were left-handed. I guess the very first prototype was made, and
Very cool.
And that I don't know.
That slam changer is bad. Love it.
But Randy and Dave Liu drew that slam changer up on a bar napkin, and they had Dave Liu's dad make the first prototype. So Dave Liu's dad is one that is credited for making that contraption. As soon as they came out and hit the tournament scene with them, they were banned because they're just too fast and dangerous. Because if you push the button when you got the 12 gram in there, it turns into a rocket launcher. They'll shoot that thing half a football field, and whatever's in the way will get tagged. So they're very dangerous. And another thing was, if you noticed on that duck, it still was side feed, and in tournaments everything had to be horizontal. They wouldn't let you have a stick feed. So that's why you see all these ducks, they're all changed over to these horizontal feeds.
they couldn't play SoCal stock.
And so they changed them all. So to have one that still is non-converted is pretty rare to see.
So
You
when
don't see
did they start allowing direct feed in events?
You know what?
We're talking about stock events.
We're talking about stock.
Yeah.
Stock.
So at the same time there were
100%
open
stock.
class events.
Yeah, you had to have a horizontal tube, no longer than 12 inches or 14 inches. I don't know. I think it's like 12 inches, and you had to have a 12 gram that made at least three revolutions before it did the cartridge.
Cool.
So-
We got a couple of questions before we move on to the next gun. So one person, Dan, question for you: how do you get more, I guess it was velocity, out of a Piranha long barrel?
So with the Piranha long barrel, the main thing that you want to check out is your paint to bore size. Because if you have tiny paint, you're trying to shoot it through your brass barrel, you know, which is...
Everything's going around it.
Yeah, all your air is going around it. So if you're using CO2, if you're using a bulk tank or constant air, then maybe you can get past that. But with 12 gram especially, you're going to need a really good paint fit. If you do have constant air, then the next thing you want to look at is that your spring is not either too worn out or too cut down. If you aren't able to find a longer spring, one thing you can do is you can put a BB, a larger, I shouldn't say BB, I should say bearing, or just some other thing to compress your spring more. Because if your spring is going to be more compressed, it's going to push your hammer forward with more velocity or force. It's going to strike your valve harder, and it's going to keep your valve open, or it's going to open your valve more, it's going to keep your valve open for longer. So that's going to get you more air out of the valve.
And there are a couple things that you can do, because obviously the bore size is so big, you can sleeve your barrel. So I've seen a couple people doing this. It's like what's it called? Heat shrinking. They basically heat shrink, or they use cold to shrink a tube that fits in the barrel, and then as it heats up, it expands and basically just fits into that barrel super securely. You can't get it out though, and then that will be your new bore size. So I've seen that done. You can also do what Wally has done, where he's basically he rebarrels the gun, so you can rebarrel it to 680. Or what he's also done is he's cut the barrel and basically freak board it, and then put the barrel back on using a latch system, so you can freak bore your LB.
But the easiest thing is to just demand paint manufacturers to make a larger bore ball, which Benji is
still working
on with everyone's help.
Yeah.
So
well, according to Jorge, trick shot champion, Mr. Hot Rounds, instead of using CO2, you got to use butane for hot rounds.
Is that butane hash or just butane?
I don't know, Jorge, you might want to chime in there.
Until then, just get the biggest paint you can get.
You always
and
tell
you're
me
gonna
dirty air. You gotta have dirty air.
Dirty air, yeah.
It's all about dirty air.
Jorge's always shooting dirty. He's playing dirty, he's shooting dirty air, and he plays on Paul's side. Hey, Paul.
Dan,
That Paul, let's get it straight.
We have two other questions.
Yeah, what are they?
From our homie Gene.
Yeah.
First question is, what is the value of all the ducks you have on the show tonight?
The first question is, why did you let Paul on your show?
Second follow-up question is, what time is Paul leaving so Gene can jump you at your van?
So, Gene, value is in the eye of the beholder.
It really is.
From your perspective, they're probably worthless. That's probably what you've told Paul over and over. And why does he have so many? Because they're junk. But we don't talk values here, so they're priceless. And the second question, we don't know if we can let Paul leave with these guns. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I heard the door lock. I heard a shotgun cock.
No, Rose, that's not here. So you're probably free to leave.
Jumping back real quick to the Sheridan issue, like we said, you want bigger balls right now. I guess the biggest balls we're seeing are
These ones right here.
Yeah.
Are Nelson.
Oh!
Nelson, although we haven't been too happy with the ball overall. I also like the Valken graffiti.
Better text her back. You're gonna get in trouble. Just text her right now.
From what I've tested and what I've used, the APX paint that we used this last time, the advanced was about 687. 4-star used to be about 684, but the last batch we tried out was 679. So.
Or Walmart has paint that's been on the shelf for about 6-7 years.
Monster balls.
It's pretty big. It's like 9.5, 9.6.
I heard you'll soon be able to order 30-year-old paintballs off BacciPaintball.com.
So,
should be pretty large.
John,
I think there's some in that gun still.
Yeah, John kind of expanded because I definitely didn't know the technical terms for what I was talking about, but interference fit insert. You heat the barrel, dry ice for insert, slide an insert, and assembly come to room temperature.
So I've heard recently that I think Ty McNair was trying that, but John, from John Saywell, from your experience, do you remember anyone, or from your your years of playing, do you remember anyone else doing it over the years? I mean, it probably wasn't something that people did back in the late 80s, early 90s.
They didn't have to.
Yeah, they didn't have to because they had paint that would fit. But what do you remember anyone that was actually doing that? Actually, I'm pretty lucky because I had, let's see if I can find it here. I actually had my good friend bring over a Bushmaster barrel for me today. That's, what's been done to this?
I just put a reamer in it, and
you reamed it out.
I reamed it.
Same
He's
thing
really
that,
good at reaming.
Same thing that Rosette does to me every night.
Right? We're not going to talk about that.
At least Thursday night, we don't clean up enough after the live stream.
With this gun, all you have to do is ream this out, and there's a wall inside, so it can slide.
And by a wall, what exactly do you mean?
You just ream the wall real hard.
Yeah, well, when you put it in, the freak is held in by the body inside.
Okay, so when you're shooting a bore drop gun, what Paul is trying to say is that you have an actual bolt that is already kind of stepped up and goes into your bore.
What he's saying is if you're trying to freak the body, you gotta ream the wall.
Close, but what he's saying is
your O-ring of your bolt will pull that freak back into the breech.
So when you're shooting a bore drop though, your bolt is already bore diameter. It's already the diameter of your bore. So when this goes in, it hits the bore, or it hits the step of your body, which is already the same inner diameter as the freak insert would be. Yeah. So in a breech drop gun like a Buzzard or a Nelspot 007, you have a larger bore, or you have a larger breech, and your bolt is much larger, and the lip of that bolt has an O-ring, and that's the part that would actually seal your bore off. So in a breech drop gun, when your bolt comes forward, it can hook. There's a possibility that it can hook into your O-ring, and it can pull your freak insert out. So in those cases, I think you need to go a little bit further with the freak. Is that how you do it, so that your bolt O-ring doesn't actually slip into the freak insert?
I've been putting, well, this doesn't have enough meat on it, but in a normal barrel with Nelson.
A normal breech drop.
Yeah. No,
barrel.
not breech drop, just regular Nelson drop. Nelson bolt. I'm putting O-rings in. But it's really tight. I make it so it's really tight. You wouldn't need that
on a bore drop, but on a breech drop, you do need that because that helps your freak insert actually stay in.
Yeah.
Just shout it out.
Whose is that?
What?
The Ironman Carter?
Oh yeah, that's
Jeez.
Paul's.
Paul brought out all the heaters.
Yeah. So tell us the story. Tell us the story on this one, Paul.
Don't touch it!
You can touch that one. Give me this one. Here. So tell us some history on this one, right here. And if anybody has a barrel that they want freak board, is this something that you're going to be offering, or is this a homies only?
Homies only.
Homies only. So all you people out there in the internet, sorry, you got to find somebody else. There's a lot of people doing it, but not this guy.
Ty McNair, he's a reputable guy.
Ty McNair's the man. And he'll also make you some brass freak inserts, which are pretty awesome.
Does he actually do boring on barrels, though? I mean, I know he does a lot of things. I just wasn't sure if he actually freak bored aluminum.
You know
barrels.
what? All it is you got a lathe and a reamer. You can freak bore. I mean, it's not.
There you go. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Just not this guy.
Tell your mom to go buy a lathe for you. Put it in the living room.
Machine.
Throw it in the living room and.
So I got it. My dad just bought a new drill press.
Kit.
My dad just bought a new drill press up in Guerneville, and it's like, I don't know, there's some kind of control unit on it. Could I actually freak bore a barrel in it? Wait till you see the drill press.
Not let you want to die.
Jake says, and Tim both say that Ty does freak bore.
There you go. So hit up Ty McNair, and is that Brass Monkey Customs? But anyway, they're going to tell us whether it is or not, and Paul's going to tell us some history on this Brahima Stefan
Thomas
autococker.
says Super Staunchy does it also.
There you go.
There's several guys that do
Several guys.
They're just expensive.
Or just get yourself a barrel kit.
Like the...
Well, this is a Python barrel kit that I got right here. So this is I really like this barrel kit because it turns any barrel that you got. So this one is autococker threaded.
Stole it on the
It
field.
turns any autococker threaded barrel into a barrel kit. So, you know, the inserts aren't as long as, say, a freak barrel, but if you're worried about dropouts, I mean, this is all you need. So the insert goes in the back. This threads on your autococker threaded barrel. As such, And bam.
Did you put
Good to go.
Wait a minute. Did you put that in the right way?
Yeah.
No, it goes in the other way. There you go.
So I was looking
There
for
you go.
Show.
I was looking for an OTP
Call me
now.
out.
But anyway, Paul, tell us some history on this Brahim gun.
There you go.
I've known Brahim since almost the very beginnings of paintball when he opened up the store. I didn't know him at the.
What was the store name?
B&M. And I didn't know him at the first location. It was when he first moved into Glendora location. And
What year was that?
92 or 3 maybe? 2 or 3.
I always forget that
I think
B&M
it
was
was
even
2.
around that long. I mean, that's like way back.
Oh yeah, and what was cool about it was they were a pro shop. I mean, they actually had aftermarket stuff. In those early days, that's what kind of made paintball to me kind of magical because everyone's gun was different, and it was before autocockers.
Well, not before. I mean, 92
well,
wouldn't be before.
Well, it was at the time when
you had said-
it was mostly pump guns. Everyone had pump guns. That's what they were selling.
That micro cocker was very early. That was one that he made very early.
Yeah, he was always he's always a guy that always thought ahead. He's,
This is Brahim.
Brahim. He always was thinking above the curve, around always the next generation, what he's gonna do, how he can make something better. And he truly did a lot of innovations to the sport. I think he's the first one that actually did the sizers in the barrels. I don't remember anything before that with the OTP little sleeves, but there could have been. But at the same time, at that time, paintball was moving faster and faster. It was really turning, and we didn't really get to see a whole lot of the East Coast stuff. We were mostly autocockers. They were auto mags on the other side, and so this is one of his team guns that he got.
That he didn't use much.
No, he said that they used that for a couple of pictures
Maybe
in
show it on the
magazines,
Sure.
but they weren't really played with.
Paul.
They all were very. They had their guns they shot. They had their Mojo guns, and his gun, his cocker he shot. I got from him a while back when I got all these guns from him because I did an air conditioning job and I took all of his paintball stuff. And
Yanked.
And he gave me his real gun with his son with his.
And by real gun, you mean the autococker that
The one he used all the time. It wasn't a marked gun. It was just a black body side feed gun. You can see him shooting it in push. It has this steel. It has his. He always had this OTP barrel that had a groove in it because it flew off a lathe and almost killed him. So he always shot that barrel. That was like his barrel. And so he gave me all his guns and I was just starting to know Bocce probably a year before.
It was probably 2011.
About 11, and I noticed that what he collected, and when people see these guns, you don't see team guns very often. So he showed a huge interest in them, and I've seen them all the time. I mean, I've seen them from way back, So to me, they're just autocockers, team autocockers. Now they're totally sought after and totally expensive, but that's the way they should be because they're history. But he sold me this gun or traded me this gun, and he said he did. Yeah, like I said, they didn't use them very much because this was like a photography one when they all stood there with Pro Ball, like this, their Pro Ball ads.
And so this would probably be 94, 5 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the first Bob Long signature.
This is our
series
signature
guns.
series. This was the first batch of the Bob Long signature series.
Well, the first batch actually had smaller feed necks.
Well, that's what they were saying, that these ones were. I guess Bob Long talked Bud into actually going into production with these vertical feeds. So a lot of the teams got vertical feeds that Bob Long was affiliated with just to show Bud, hey, these guns work, and because no one could sight them. Everyone thought it was weird to look down a gun with a feed in the center. And that really was a big issue. I mean, even Youngblood's very first Angel, he had Aaron Carter have it come off as a side feed. And because no one could get past shooting with something in front of them. And
so how did that become the norm?
It just, people figured it out, you know, they started liking it. It fed better. You didn't have that elbow, you know, you didn't have a bend in your paint. You didn't have to shake your hopper as much. We didn't have any of that cool stuff, you know. So it was basically, you shot like 5 times and or 3 times. You always had to make sure, and nothing was worse than when you were shooting and nothing was coming out. Like, oh God, you know. So then, you know, they had the Revies with the. They came out when the Angels came out. They had Revies with IntelliFeeds that went into them. So every time you shot, it turned a revolution of the Revies. And so, yeah, I mean.
Can you tell us a little bit about the accessories that are on this?
On this
gun?
Yeah, what's really cool about this gun, it's got a prophecy on it.
It's the titanium one, right?
This is a titanium reg, and these were the guns. These were the regs that they had on their guns.
Because they're super light.
It's titanium, so if you can imagine, this is the weight of an aluminum, but it's, you know, looks like a stainless and performs like a, you know, it's a hard piece of metal, so you don't have to worry about ruining that. It's got an Armson sight on it, which was commonly used. Bob Long still today puts them on his guns. Iron Men are really noted for using these a lot. They had Aaron Carter put them in the bodies of guns really early, and you know, for a point of reference, they work pretty good. I mean, and they look cool. And I mean, I still have on 2 of my guns today, some early Carters. It's got the Team Ironman 45 frame on it. It's got.
When Paul's here, we don't even have to talk at all because he'll.
It's got the Palmer's
for us.
The Palmer's bulletproof reg on there.
The Rock LPR.
The Rock, and some early pneumatics.
Yeah, I don't know about
with the clippers.
But tell us a little bit about
the
back block.
The back blocks were made. Yeah. The back blocks were made because of.
A pretty badass back block.
They wanted to make sure in tournaments that people couldn't shoot hot, and that's the whole reason why the beaver tail came out. It was to protect someone from pushing in the back of the.
Which isn't something you can even do.
The cocking rod and shoot, and it'll shoot.
No, but on this gun you can't even do that because there is no cocking rod.
Well, yeah, someone stole it at the museum, so while we were not looking.
Was that at Lynn's event?
But Bob Long made these.
Well, not 2017, the year before.
They're like, hey,
they didn't steal it. We gave it to somebody.
Iron Man cocker. Let me just take.
No, I took it off and I gave it to someone.
You probably gave it to me.
Someone who you.
So
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just a cage that protected it to where you couldn't push in.
It was essentially a beaver tail, but it's built into the back.
It's really not a beaver tail.
It's really not.
Because this will still hit you in your face. A beaver tail is.
So it also has the Bob Long Cyclone bolt, which is kind of like Brahim's bolt, maybe a little bit like Brahim's bolt.
Like the OTP.
Everyone was. I wouldn't even doubt if Brahim made these for him back in the day, because look at the bolt itself.
So did you feel like those slingshot style bolts actually did something?
No. I don't.
But they were to help with the timing, right? Is that
the theory behind them? Yes, it was just a timing issue. I honestly don't think they worked the way they were supposed to.
They were supposed to.
But they were an upgrade, and everyone wanted that, and everyone wanted an OTP trigger job.
So is that what they were?
Their claim to fame?
Yeah, Gilly was saying that OTP was actually the first one to make an insert kit for barrels.
Yeah. I don't remember anyone else. So yeah, Brahim always was a big time innovator.
Before that one.
Probably the G1.
No, it was in the G1.
You want me to get one of those out?
It was in a G1.
Yeah, I just sold Jimmy the G1 kit.
Yeah, he asked me, should I get it? I said, yeah, hell yeah, you should get it. That's a very cool barrel. I mean, the G1 is such a straight shooting barrel, and I think the reason why is because the porting is so small in it. And it's really
nice, and it's really nice lines.
Quiet. And I think what it does is when the ball's shot out of it, there's no step in it. It's one bore, but since the holes in the porting are so small, it actually does disperse the sound without taking away the velocity of the ball. If that makes sense, because Brahim did a lot of barrel testing, and He said still to this day, there's nothing that shoots straighter than a piece of pipe with the right size paint. It doesn't have to be ported. The only reason why you port them is to make them quiet. And then like this barrel here that he made, if you look inside that at the porting, see how there's a step?
Yeah. That's
so you don't lose velocity in the ball as it comes out.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So that's where all this comes from, where you have a barrel and then it gets bigger like the boomstick.
Well, here, take this one again. So on this one,
this is a G1.
You have your little tiny insert.
And it fits inside just like that. And it just stops the ball from rolling out. And those were made, I would say, in 90...
So
these rollouts just must have been a constant before any of these barrel kits or anything.
Well, it's when they started changing the paint material, I think, is when we had issues. Because they went through 3 different paint materials.
This one just looks so badass with that barrel.
Yeah, that's...
But the thing is, was Brahim even allowed to use these, or were they only using dye barrels?
They practiced with OTP barrels, what they said.
We got one quick question. When did Venturi bolts become a thing? Who started
first? Some of the first Venturi bolts were on the Apex Elite by Air Power, and then there were also Venturi bolts that were added into the Redline by...
It was pretty early they were doing that.
Yeah, by
what would have been before
Steven
the Venturi
Busek.
bolt?
An open face, or you know, there's another very early, probably the earliest example of the Venturi bolt would be in the Equalizer that what's his name from ACI made?
I don't even know what the Equalizer
That's what you saw. Remember, he came into the shop and he had the dual 12-gram gun.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if the Venturi idea was patented, or I know back in the day they weren't really patenting most of this stuff because it
was coming out so fast. So the innovation stuff was coming, and one guy would hear about what one other guy's doing, and they were making it. Because back then you would pay $50 for a bolt that's made out of aluminum, and then that other bolt came out, the 2-piece bolt. I think that was $60, but you have to remember that was in 1994, so that's like $100 bolt.
So this is a really neat innovation that's on this boa barrel. It's an O-ring that's actually in a notch around the outer diameter, and it has 2 sides that are cut flat.
Oh yeah.
That actually will secure your ball from rolling all the way out. I mean,
let me see that thing.
Well, your ball, so essentially with an autococker, if it gets past the detent, I mean, you can still get double feeds, but it's not going to roll all the way out. Give us some perspective on that.
This is just a temporary fix, though. I mean, you're still going to have all that air go around this. It's just going to hold it back. It's not really an efficient barrel, but, when you're shooting CO2 back in the day, it didn't matter, really.
So this is the barrel that I like to put on the Prince autococker, because I think that's what it had with
put that on the bed. So tell us a little bit about this Navarone cocker you got.
This is on Bacci.
Well,
this is before me.
To do that, we have to put on...
Well, not before me, but I didn't know any of these guys.
We got to talk about this.
Whose Navarone cocker was that? Do you know?
Yeah, that one is Rick Rector's, and I bought it from his son, Ryan. And, oops, I just hit the mic.
Then, as you're doing that, Ryan is asking, what are your thoughts on the Bob Long Hydra Bolt?
I don't like the Hydra bolts. I mean, it's interesting that they have different tips, but why do you want a face of your bolt that's a separate piece that could essentially fall apart?
They usually fall out.
Yeah, like I don't want a bolt that's like, I say that, but essentially there's many bolts that are multiple pieces, but I want my bolt to be one piece so that you can just kind of get rid of possible problems before they happen. Yeah. So this is a really cool autococker. It's obviously a Navarone cocker, number 18. I think I have number 19 as well in Guerneville. This one belonged to Rick Rector, who played on Navarone, and I'm not sure the years that he played, but Jorge and I met up with his son and bought this and a Bushmaster from him probably like 5 or more years ago. And didn't have the KC No Hot Shots bottom line regulator on it when we got it. It was just vertical air. And Jorge actually, we had Paintball Tech rebuild this, and then Jorge shot it like this with a 20 ounce. Well, it wasn't a 20 ounce. It was an HPA tank on there. And he shoots it, and it's so heavy that he's slowly it's slowly dropping, and then he brings it back up.
But he's ripping on it. He's ripping on it.
He's shooting it like this. 1, 2, 3. Because the trigger.
That thing is remarkably heavy.
Yeah, the gun is heavy, or the paint gun is heavy. The trigger springs are incredibly heavy. So he's shooting boom, 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 and it's dropping.
You know what?
Then he takes a different stance. He switches feet, and he goes again, and he shoots it a little bit more.
Yeah, I just my earliest remembrance of these guns when they came out was how like either they shot or you're fucked. I mean, it was a constant battle of freezing up, and because most people didn't even have this, you just screwed your tank onto the bottom. The first one I got was in '94, and you could screw the tank directly to the bottom of it.
And straight into the vertical.
Yeah, and you would just pray that this stuff up here, your LPR wouldn't freeze, because once it started doing that, you were pretty much done.
That was it.
On that first brass LPR.
Yeah, these were just not good at all.
We got another question. Delrin or aluminum for a bolt doesn't make a difference.
Delrin is I think the slickest. It doesn't mess your bore up inside the gun itself. It doesn't chew it up like.
So you're not going to see the wear.
Yeah, the wear factor is like nothing compared to aluminum bolts. They really tear your gun up, especially when your O-rings go bad. You're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at my Evo, which I've been using just for
those
the stock
Evo bolts
metal
with that it has like an oval cut in it.
Yep.
It will eat the back of your gun gone. I mean, I don't know why they're so aggressive.
Yeah, I haven't seen any performance differences yet, but I can tell that there is some breech wear that I, wouldn't see on, say, an Oracle or.
Yeah, I would just have that in there when you just have it, to show it. But I would definitely, when you play, put a.
I've always just used it with what it came with. I kind of use my gun.
Well, if you don't want to destroy it,
use them until they're destroyed.
It is destroying. It is destroying it.
When you're using an aluminum bolt.
Yeah, and the Eclipse guns those bolts are just terrible on them.
I mean, aluminum bolts just in general are rough. You know.
Especially when you dive into the dirt and you come up and you hear your gun going, and you can hear it sanding the inside of your gun. You're like, oh my god.
Here, Dan, we got a question. What is this? So this is a gun that I originally got from Rickson Dehaas. Original LA Ironman player, now plays with Black Sunday.
Not LA Ironman. Ironman.
Ironman. Original Ironman. And so I picked this up from him, year and a half ago? 2 years ago? And since I gave it to Bacci, sold it to Bacci, who has, we cleaned it up a little bit. I cleaned it initially when I got it a little bit. Have you done anything since?
Yeah, Paintball Tech and I completely took it apart. And we rebuilt everything except for the pneumatics. So
yeah, I was surprised that if he went through it, you guys wouldn't finish it up.
We didn't have enough time.
Right. Hopefully we can see this soon, but it's got a nice splash ammo. It's got the Armson sight on it. What else?
It's got the Invisi tubes on it.
I mean,
this is one of the coolest things right here. It's got the kind of offset power feed, which he did himself before re-anodizing it. So you don't really see that on too many cockers.
It's actually welded.
Yeah, you see a similar idea on some
FX.
of the PTP cockers, like that Splash FX that I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is welded.
So Rick actually bought the power feed from PTP. He welded it on. He machined the body. It's flat topped with a screw-on sight rail. So the sight rail is actually similar to a Sniper 1 sight rail.
Yeah, it is.
In the way that it's a small piece of aluminum that's just screwed into the top. He rounded the edges on the back block, the frame,
and the front block too.
Yeah, the front block.
Is that the whole trigger pull, or is there something stopping it?
No, I mean it trips it, and
it's incredibly short
it's
trigger
just.
pull.
I don't know if
it's just not timed.
Yeah, I mean obviously, but I don't know if it could function being that short.
Yeah, it has a tournament legal tripping barrel.
Yeah. An impaling barrel.
Yeah, with this kind of barrel, you get close enough, you're not bunkering them, you just gotta
stick it to their neck across the field.
So there were some parts on this that we could not save, like the unireg that was on it. The one of the nuts in the side of it was completely rusted solid.
Yeah, when we originally got this
out.
from Rick, the whole thing had rust.
It had unfortunately been in a container in one of his sheds that had
water on it.
Yeah, I think the lid cracked and some water got in. But it's still, it is almost there. It will shoot eventually.
Yeah, just
It's
stick
really
a rag
nice.
on it,
Yeah.
clean up the pneumatics. And
I
that's
like
good
the
to
Anna
go.
one. It's
Yeah,
really
and
nice.
Rick never played with this, I don't think. I think he said he might have used it once or twice, but he probably didn't play with it at all. So, I mean, it's practically, aside from, you know, some staining, it's in great shape, and it doesn't have any corrosion, which is the thing that surprised me the most. But that's, I guess,
it's
because
cleaned up
there's
pretty
no...
nicely. Did
Yeah,
Tim run it through his acid bath?
No,
Is that
the acid bath, the sonic cleaner.
sonic cleaner?
The only spot where there is very light corrosion is on the bolt, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed you rebuilt that, Bocci, because it's not normal for you to take all the rusty parts off your guns.
well, no, I left the rusty parts on. Did you get a closer look at it? Like, there's no actual. I mean,
It
there is
doesn't
some,
work.
There is some rust, but mostly it's, you know, everything remained extremely tarnished. So I did take the rusted screws off. They were so rusted that I could barely take them off.
Yeah,
though.
you definitely should have kept those on.
I mean, I kept them in a bag. I just didn't keep them on the gun. Nice.
See if you can pry that off. So I just want to re-mention
Pry what off? What am I taking off?
the quick disconnect. So remember, guys, for the Latoya raffle, if you want a chance at winning that desert duck,
Why would I
want a
take this
chance because I want to take the valve out.
All right,
If you
well,
want a
you don't
chance
need
at winning the
to
Latoya
take the quick
tank
disconnect off
with
anymore.
his signed picture on it, if you want the IDs, Latoya JT strap, Bocce Paintball gift certificates. You want to send your payments $10 per ticket or $10 per entry to clasoya@hotmail.com.
Make sure that they are gifted with
yeah,
the subject
gifted.
title for Chris's health or something similar.
Or raffle, any of the above.
I don't know if you should say raffle. I don't know. Is that?
Well,
No, as long as you're gifting it, I think you could write like duck raffle.
I just put Latoya gift.
Yeah,
just
Latoya
remember,
gift.
if you're,
Latoya,
Take the valve out.
Latoya gift
I-
would
there's no
probably
screw.
be
Yeah, no, I
the
took-
safest thing to put, and then on his end, he can recognize that you're giving him money for his cause.
right.
Because there's gonna be mix-ups and stuff when stuff like this is done, and at the end of a raffle, people don't win, so they want their money back, and that's
Which is no
unfortunately,
bueno.
unfortunately, a really sad
Chris's help.
way of, you know, working. But
Yeah.
you know, there's people out there that are like that. So
And remember, if you're like, because we posted up some online flyers for this, if you're copy pasting his email address or his PayPal address to send the funds, make sure to on your next PayPal
Yeah.
payment check that you're not keeping that
the memo on the bottom.
that same email, because
Oh.
he's been getting payments today for an Empire sniper and for an Areacon pistol. He's not selling anyone guns. This is just for raffle tickets. So
Yeah.
he's just going to refund your money if you accidentally send him money for a gun.
Yeah.
It's purely for raffle tickets. I just wanted to give a shout out. This is unrelated to Chris, but I wanted to give a shout out to Jim, who was nice enough to send me this really nice looking Automag, which just arrived today. The nice splash rail, benchmark frame, level 7 1-star classic valve. He pretty much he knew I'm an Automag collector and Automag man, and he's like, I got a mag that's not, being used.
So, did you print this feed?
There you go. So
Pretty
thank
nice.
you. So this is a feed that Jeff printed out, but I'm going to be printing out similar ones. This is 3D printed, obviously, and this one
Can you print
isn't-
one for Paul so he stops using mine?
Sure.
Yes,
That
please.
Hey, Paul.
So this one isn't a standard tube. This won't really fit into a side feed or even into a cocker vert feed. This is to go on thinner feeds like this Automag feed, or what else could this go on? I mean, what other side
Just throw it up
tubes?
higher,
Yeah,
like up in the.
just don't. I'm gonna make a couple different versions, but don't get this version expecting it to go into your cocker feedback. But yeah, it's pretty cool. If I had a pump kit for this, I would try it out this weekend when we go do SoCal Stock. But
SoCal Stock. That's
Have
at
to do
Ambush
that in
on
the
Saturday.
future.
Come and join us.
What else? Oh, I didn't want to show off. Can you go to the GoPro?
The GoPro is on.
GoPro's
It's
on,
behind
so
us.
I wanted to show off a couple.
Can we actually first, let's just in the or actually just at your seat talk about that, because there's something you wanted to show from that from a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the 1998 action calendar.
And also, just so you guys know, it's 9:35, and I told Rosette that we were going to stop at
we got 5 minutes.
an hour ago. So yeah, 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're calling it a night.
Okay, so this is the 98 action calendar, and what was cool about this is one of the guys who we play with, Sean Takeda, I was like, wait, I saw that dude in the calendar.
Sean Takeda's in this?
There you go.
And what year is it again,
Sean
Benji?
Takeda, 1998, and this is at Conquest, which was my home field for, 6-7 years, so I'll show it on the GoPro a little bit.
That's a young Takeda.
There he is going for the flag, and we just played with him a couple weeks ago, and
for Paul's birthday.
For Paul's birthday, and he went off and took out like 14 people in a row, so hasn't lost a sweat,
and
that's for sure.
Everyone was calling him a cheater, but
what team did he play for?
This is when he's playing for Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
And what gun is he using? An Automag.
Jack Wada says, start making the 3D printed stick feed so I don't have to anymore.
Here, Paul, you can look through that a little bit more. You got
really
it.
Cool.
I'm going to be making them, but I need to make more of these first. So,
those are the days, man.
Is the hold it in front of the GoPro again?
All right.
I think the GoPro might be frozen.
This guy.
Running and gunning.
See.
That's a horse
Oh no, it's still working.
Yeah.
You just can't
He
see
learned
it
that from
well.
him.
Here are a bunch of the...
Sit down, because your head's cut off.
Okay, so here are a bunch of the 3D printed Jeff boxes. So I just wanted to show a little bit of the differences between the newer and the older ones. So this is a one piece that is, these are some of the earlier ones that he would have made. This one I actually...
You gotta hold it. Actually, let me just kind of adjust this so we
closer.
can see it a little bit better. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this in front of the camera so that...
That's insane.
Alright, it's over Paul's right now.
Okay, so
So
this
that's
is
all
the
part
one
of it
piece
right
Jeff
there.
box. 10
The
round tube
Griswolds.
fed.
I wonder who they cross
Now,
up with.
I was really trying to make this one piece a viable option, but
rad.
unfortunately, just due to the design.
If you kneel
and-
down, we can see
Zero,
your face, because I can only see your mouth.
So due to the design and just where the feed neck connects, the feed neck is just a little too thin. Like you can see, it's kind of squishy. So I was afraid it would end up cracking on people. So.
Did you go this way a little tiny bit?
So decided, no, not that one. Here is an early one that Jeff made. This is a 40 round, I guess we'll call it the micro Jeff box. Also 10 round tube fed.
Yeah.
This one had a few issues. You can see a little bit of the burn marks, and
It's cool.
it's kind of see-through on the feed neck down here. Still works pretty well.
Mark says Sub-Zero in the house. Is that what Sean's playing on? Is Sub-Zero?
Yeah, that's what Sean was playing on. So this was the one piece early generation. So as you went on, here's another one that Jeff made. This is, I think it's a 65 round or 70 round two-piece Jeff box, and this is one of the early ones. You can tell kind of.
That's actually a 3-piece then.
Oh yeah, so you're right. It's a 3-piece since it has these separate feet up here. So potentially you could put on a lid if you wanted, if you had the other piece that we printed. So this one has a bunch of different holes. I think he was practicing, what kind of screw placement would have been best. But that led to these, which is the latest version of Jeff box. This is a 2-piece 45 to 50 rounder. These are a couple of his early prototypes also, but these ones are incredibly strong.
There was a lot because
I couldn't break it if I tried.
all of them are
And I actually, I put some of these early ones through testing. I was shooting them from 10 feet away, then 7 feet away, then 2 feet away. And at one point, I blew a hole through both sides of one of the
Benji,
boxes
your face is cut off still.
that I made. So the 2-piece is way stronger. And then, so this is the 50 rounder. This is one that I printed today, which is a 40 rounder.
freaking rock hard. That thing is rock hard.
It's super hard. I mean,
I'm guessing that's a good hopper right there.
On a rock,
that is a good hopper.
Nothing would happen to it. I'm just waiting on some inserts to get these put together. Right now it's still a 2-piece.
2-piece.
And then kind of cool, here is one that Jeff made for me a while ago. But this one's made out of TPU, so it's also a 50 rounder, but it's squishy, incredibly squishy. So I've actually caught a couple bounces on this already. You know, there's definitely no way it's gonna crack on anything because it's so squishy. So I'm gonna be making, where's that? Here. So I'm gonna be making this same 40 rounder in the same squishy material as well as the new 50 rounders. So first ones are going all to the PBSL guys, and then once I get through those, they will be open for sale to the public. So if you want one, just hit me up and I'll get you on the list.
So I think that is pretty much it.
That's it, unless you want to talk about your patches that you brought out. Which are
No, it's
pretty
okay.
sweet.
I just throw those out there every time and we never talk about them.
Your Puma.
No, we don't even talk about it.
Okay, Dan is afraid of his inevitable beatdown from his wife.
Yep.
So
It's okay. She has a flat tire on the side of the road.
She's had a flat tire on the side of the road for over 2
oh my
hours.
God, you are gonna get it.
Yeah.
She's seeing a movie. We're all good.
I'm gonna hide.
Yeah. Well, so we want to thank Paul. Thank you, sir,
guys.
for coming out.
Yeah.
Thanks for donating that gun for such a good cause.
Yeah,
And,
my pleasure, man.
If anybody, you know, needs the address again for the raffle, just let us know. If you got anything for us to add to the raffle, just let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you on Saturday at Ambush for SoCal Stock. And we'll be on next week. We're switching our stream day next week to Friday. And we're probably going to be doing Friday streams for the next couple months, because this guy's going back to school on Thursdays. So Friday streams, remember.
At least until Paul drops his class.
Yeah, I did that for the stream this past month.
He did.
So,
He did. We
hopefully
don't
that-
want you to.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.
bye-bye.
We'll see you around.
Okay. Stop streaming.